Hello everyone! In the Stargate universe, few mysteries are as fascinating as the Furlings. They're often mentioned as one of the four great races, along with the Ancients, the Asgard, and the Nox. Unlike the others, the Furlings never appeared on screen in the official story. Because of this, fans have spent years wondering who they really were and what role they played in the galaxy. One of the interesting ideas about the Furlings came from the unfinished MMO game called Stargate Worlds. According to early leaks, the Furlings may have created the Goa'uld, or at least helped guide their evolution. The idea was that the Goa'uld were meant to act as caretakers for the universe, rather than the cruel villains we see in the series. In canon, however, the Goa'uld are shown as parasitic lifeforms that evolved naturally in the waters of P3X 888. They later took Unas and humans as hosts and built an empire using technology left behind by the Ancients. The show clearly presents them as natural species, not one that was artificially created. Since Stargate Worlds was never released, these Furlings connection is not canon. Still, it raises an interesting question about where the Furlings might fit into when it comes to the evolution of the Goa'uld. The Furlings are constantly described as one of the great races, implying technological and scientific mastery on par with the Ancients or the Asgard. Unlike the Asgard, who focus heavily on cloning and genetics, or the Ancients who pursue the path of ascending, the Furlings' philosophy remains unknown. This blank slate allowed for speculation that their experiments may be centered around biological enhancements, symbiosis, or even forced evolution. If the Furlings believe that strength or unity could be achieved through symbiotic life, they may have attempted to uplift a primitive organism, one that would later become the Goa'uld. What we do know is that at some point part of the Goa'uld population escaped their home planets and went on becoming the most powerful force in the Milky Way. How this happened is still a mystery, and this unknown chapter is where the Furlings may fit in. While exploring the galaxy, the Furlings could have discovered the Goa'uld in their natural primitive state. They may have seen them as the potential symbiotic life form and chose them to become the future caretakers of the galaxy. To do this, the Furlings abducted several Goa'uld queens and began experimenting on them. These experiments may have enhanced the Goa'uld memory, intelligence, and symbiotic adaptability. What we see in the Goa'uld later could have been the result of artificial upgrades layered on top of already aggressive species. This would explain how a creature from a simple ecosystem evolved so quickly into a galactic tyrant capable of using advanced technology. Another idea that supports this theory is the complete disappearance of the Furlings. Unlike the Ancients who left ruins everywhere, or the Asgard who maintained a visible appearance in the galaxy, the Furlings seem to have vanished almost entirely. If they played a role in creating or empowering the Goa'uld, they may have also been among the first victims, or decided to retreat from galactic politics after failing to create the caretakers of the galaxy. This raises an important question. If the Furlings created the Goa'uld, why don't the Goa'uld use Furling technology? Most of the technology we see them use clearly comes from the Ancients, taken from worlds that they later conquered. One explanation is that the Goa'uld escaped and eventually returned to their homeworld. A more likely idea is that the Furlings realized that the Goa'uld possessed dominant and controlling traits that made them dangerous rather than helpful. Understanding these mistakes, the Furlings released them back to P3X 888. Over time, these enhanced Goa'uld learned how to use the Stargate and spread across the galaxy, leaving their true origins behind. There has been attempts from the Goa'uld to find the Furlings, though we never learned whether those searches were successful. This is where the Stargate World MMO tried to expand on this uninteresting storyline. Based on available information, the main plot focused on the cult attempting to bring back Ra and restore a new age of Goa'uld rule. They succeeded in resurrecting Ra and allowed him to regroup and begin invading multiple planets. Ra planned to use the ancient device to weaken and enslave the Furlings, transforming them into beings called the Strages. With the Strages as his army, Ra gained the upper hand against the Stargate Union. Eventually, the Union located the Furling homeworld and freed them from Ra's control, setting the stage for Ra's defeat once again. The Furlings' attempt to create a caretaker species was not their idea alone. It was a shared agreement among the great races. The goal was to create a species that could protect and guide the galaxy after they were gone. The Furlings chose the Goa'uld, but that choice ended in failure. The Ancients created the humans, which still appears to be a promising outcome. The Asgard pursued a technological solution called the Sorakis, but it backfired badly, crippling their race and created a plague that killed the unascended Ancients. This disaster helped break apart the Alliance. The Nox, however, saw no need to create a caretaker species at all, believing the galaxy would naturally find its own balance. Since this information comes from an unfinished MMO, it's not considered canon. It is also unclear whether the Furlings actually created the Goa'uld or merely enhanced their abilities. In my opinion, the Furlings enhanced the Goa'uld and later abandoned them once they realized it was a mistake. Over time, that decision ended up backfiring on the Furlings. Let me know if you agree with this analysis and whether you think it would have been a strong addition to the Stargate storyline. If you enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe, and also click on the notification button and the hype button to help improve the impact of this video. For more sci-fi content, then please check out these other two videos, my socials, and my newsletter generating sci-fi information on a weekly basis. Thank you for watching Utopian broadcast, and I will see you next time on my channel. Thank you.